Welcome back to the Qt Developer. Today, I'm going to make a calendar. This is going to be exciting. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put in all my definitions. So I'd like to go ahead and say I'll set my font size, and I'll give the font size an integer, give it a size. Next thing I'll do is I want to set the month, and for that I will give it an integer of month. The next thing I want to do is I want to set the year, and I will give that a Q date, and that will be the year. Now the interesting thing about these are going to be the slots, the things that are actually called. So I'm going to connect those to something. There we go. So those are the slots. And then I want to make all my private variables. So private variable, or then, well actually, yeah, I'll do the variable. So I'll say int font size. Then I want a Q date of a selected date. Oops, spelled that wrong. Selected date. I then want to have a Qt text browser. And that is going to be called editor. Oops. Editor. Nice. Now, there are some other things that I'd like to do. And what I like to do is, I like to have my variables defined. We'll keep those at the bottom. But I also like to have functions that may be private. Now, I don't have to necessarily write private. I could put the method underneath the other private. But it's just the way I like to organize these things. Void, and I'll call that insert calendar. There. Now, let's see if I could do a little trick here. Right click on the class, go to refactor, and implement. Try that. Okay, it gives me a list of all the ones I want to implement. Click OK. And look at that. That's pretty cool. That's fun right there. Okay, so now it's time for me to start writing a few things for the constructor. So the first thing is I need to set the selected date, and I want that to be Q date, current date. So that will set the selected date to the current date. Let's go ahead and set the font size equal to 10. I then need to set up a Q widget. And the Q widget, let's just call it a central widget. Q widget. There we go. Let's do this. Okay, now I need to set up a Q label. And the Q label is going to be a date label. And that will be new Q date. Whoops. Q label. And I'll create a table row. Give it the name of date. Great. I then need a Q combo box. And the Q combo box is going to be, we'll call it month combo. And let's make that a new Q combo box. Terrific. Now I need to populate it with all the dates. So if I create a for loop, and I want month is going to equal 1, and then month will be less than 12. Well, that's probably actually incorrect. It probably should be equal, less than or equal to 12, because I want to go through 12. Then I'll increase the month. Great. Now I want to populate the month combo box. So I can go ahead and add the item. And I want to create a queue local to my current system. And I want the month name. And I want to set it to the month, which is the number that I'm passing, 1 to 12. Terrific. If I can get to the next line here, give it a little extra space. There we go. Now I need to go ahead and actually create the date time for the year. So, queue date time, right? But I want it to be editable. So I'll make it year edit is equal to queue date time edit. Do that right? Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot my new. There. Okay. Now I want to set the year edit to set the display format and I want to set that display format to year, 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 year. 4. Need my semicolon. Okay. Nice. So I think that's good. Now I need to create another queue label. And that queue label is going to be a font size label. And that's going, and that is going to equal new queue label. I'll use another table row and call this font size. There. I then need to create a queue spin box. And the spin box will be a font size spin box. So let's say font size spin box equals new queue spin box. There. Then I want to set the font size spin box range. Font size spin box range. Okay. Set range. And I want to set that range between 1 and say 64. Terrific. Then I want to set the editor equal to a new queue text browser. Then I can insert the calendar. Now that's a method that I'll have to implement. So we're moving along pretty nicely. Now the next things that I need to do are I need to make my connections and add the layout. Okay, so now I'm going to make the connections. So I need to connect, and I need to connect the month combo, and I want to connect that to the Q combo box when the combo box is activated. And I want to connect that to a method here in the main window. And that method is going to be setting the month. The next one I want to do is I want to set it for the year and then the font size. So I can copy this, paste it, and I want this one to be year edit. This is going to be Q date time edit. When the date is changed, and I want to set that to date changed. Oh, actually, what was this saying? Set year. There we go. Terrific. Then I want to do the next one. And this one's going to be font size spin box. This will be Q spin box. And this will be value changed. So when the value is changed, I then want to set the font size. Oops. Set. Whoops. Font. Do I not have a font size in here? Did I not create it? Oh, I said font. That should be size. There. I'll copy that. I'll paste that. Then I need to come in here and update this as well. Okay, terrific. So now moving along pretty well. So now what I need to do is now I'm going to have to create the layouts. And this is a little tricky. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to create the QHbox layout. QHbox layout. And this is going to be controls layout, and that's going to equal new QHbox layout. Then the controls layout, I now need to go ahead and add all of these widgets. Add widget, and the widget is going to be the date label. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I want to do this for the month combo. I then want to do it for the year edit. I then want to do another one for the font size label. There. But you know what? I think I want to put a little space in here. So if I do controls layout, let's add some space. Add spacing. This one right here. And the spacing I want to add is 24. Nice. We'll create a little space, try to make it look nicer. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to do the date size. Whoops. I want the font. The font size spin box. That's what I need to add. Now let's go ahead and stretch this out a little bit. Controls layout, add stretch, and we'll make it a 1. Beautiful. So now I need to go ahead and add a new layout, a QV box layout, and I need a central layout, QV box layout, and then I now need to add to the central layout the controls layout. There we go. I now need to add the central layout. I need to add a widget, which will be the editor. Okay, beautiful. And now I need to set the central widget. And the central widget, whoops. I need to set the central. Oh no, that was right. There we go. The central widget, I now need to set the layout, and the layout is going to be the central layout. Terrific. And now the overall, set the central widget. Whoops. I need to set the central widget, and then set the central widget to my central widget. Beautiful. Now the magic. Let's try to build first. See if it actually builds. Okay. Now I'm going to run and let's see if it crashes. Beautiful. Look at this. All the dates are in there. That's fantastic. There we go. Beautiful. There's the font size. Wonderful. Okay. So now it's time to move on to the insertion of the calendar. Do I want to do that, or do I want to set, you know what, I think I'm going to set the font size first, the month and the date. Let's do that. Oh, I forgot about the destructor. Let's see. Do I need to do anything with the destructor? No, I think I'm okay. Am I? I think so. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'll do now. I'm going to go ahead and set the font size, the month, and the year. So that's good. All right. So here, I want to set the font size. And you know what? I made a mistake. What I'd like to do is, for my variables, I'd like to have a convention that lets me know that they are actually member variables. There. So now, these will be wrong. And I can use little tricks here. Okay. This would be M underscore. Beautiful. And this should be M underscore. Okay. Beautiful. So now, for the font size, I'm going to set that equal to the size. And then I want to insert the calendar. Okay. Now, I need to selected date, and that is going to equal to QDate. Okay. And that is going to be the selected date dot year. I will take the month. whoops, I need to add one to it. And then set the selected date to the day. Oops. There. Then I need to call my insert calendar again. Beautiful. I forgot the parentheses here. Now, for the setting the year, I now need to set the selected date, and the selected date will be equal to the Q date, and then selected date dot year. I then want the selected date month, and then I want to add the day. Selected date dot day. Beautiful. Now I want to say insert calendar. I made a mistake. See how that's indented? So I think I forgot a parenthesis up here. Whoops, I totally messed up. Alright, let's do this. First, insert the parenthesis. Do that. And there. Now, that's all good. Now, okay, beautiful. Okay, beautiful. And this should be here. There, typo. Beautiful. So now let me run this again and make sure that it actually runs and doesn't crash. Beautiful. That's fabulous. Now it's time to implement insert calendar. The first thing I need to do is I need to clear the editor. And this should be M. Oops. This needs to be M underscore. The next thing I need to do is I need to set the Q text cursor cursor. And I'll set that to the editor. M underscore editor. My typing's not working out too well today. There, text cursor. Now the next thing is I now need to set the cursor to begin the edit block. And give yourself a little extra space here. Add a few lines. Okay. Now I want to set the Q date. And I'm going to set the Q date to the selected date. Selected date dot year. And there. And then I want to do the selected date, month, and 1. Oops. 1. There we go. Beautiful. So the next thing I need to do is I need to format this table. So we're going to say it's Q text table format. And I'll call that table format. Whoops, spelled table wrong. So I set that to the table format. Then I want to take the table format and I want to set the alignment. And the alignment will be set to the horizontal center. So QT align horizontal center. Okay, great. Now I want to set the background. And so I'll set the background to like a, well, let's see. Let's see what color I want to set it to. Table format dot set the background. And I want to set the Q color and we're going to set there. Did I miss a parenthesis? I think I did. There. So it's a gray color. This is one of the neat things about Qt Creator. If I roll my mouse over, you see, the Q color will actually show what color it is. Okay. Give myself a few extra lines. The next thing I need to do is set the padding. So the table format, set the padding, I'll set it to 2. Then I want to set the cell spacing. Cell spacing, and I'll set that to a 4. Great. Now I need to create a Q list. And the Q list is going to be a text length. Q text length. There we go. And that is going to be called constraints. There. Now I want to add a bunch of these into the Q list. So if I write constraints, use this insertion, and Q text length, and then Q text length, and I want percentage length, we'll give it a 14. Then I can go ahead and copy this a bunch of times. So let's see, how many of these do I actually need? I think I need about 7. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The reason why I'm using 7 is because there are 7 days of the week. Then I want to say table format dot I think I need to set the column width. Yes, and I want to set it to the constraints. Beautiful. So I'll go ahead and just try to build this, make sure everything's operating properly. So the next thing I need to do is I think I need to make a text table. And I'll have to set the cursor for that text table. So let's say Q text table. And that's going to be a table. And that'll equal the cursor dot insert table. And I want to insert 1 to 7 days of the week. And then the table format. Okay, great. Now I need to set the text frame. So the Q text frame I want to create a frame, and the frame is going to be equal to the cursor current frame. In this way, I get access to that current frame. Now I can make changes to it. So now QText format, or frame I should mean, frame format, and I want to create a frame format. And the frame format is going to equal the frame dot frame format. Beautiful. Then I want to set the border of the frame format and I'll set the border to 1. Give it a nice little, a thin border. Then I want to set the frame and actually set the frame format. And the frame format that's going to be set will be my frame format that I just created. Beautiful. Terrific. So now I need to create some character formats. So let's say QText character format. And the character format, let's call that format. And I'll set that to the cursor format. Whoops. There. A little slow fingers today. Slow fingers. So now, format. And I want to set the font point size. And I want to set that to my font size. There. There. A lot of these things are just setting options. Now I want to get the format. I want to set it to bold. So I'll create a new text character format. And let's call it, whoops. Let's call it bold format. And I'll equal that to format. There. Then I want to set the bold format. So bold format dot set font weight. And I want to set the font weight to Q font bold. Terrific. Need to add myself a little more room. Now I want to set the highlighted text. So if I say QText character format, and I want to say highlighted full. Did I spell that right? Format, and I'll set that to the bold format. Great. Then highlighted format dot set background, and let's go ahead and do that to yellow. Beautiful. Okay. So now I need to do is I need to actually begin to implement the day. The days of the week. So I'm going to run through a loop on this. So let's call this int weekday is equal to 1. And then the weekday is going to be less than or equal to 7. And then I'm going to want to increment the weekday. Great. Okay. So now I want to set the table cell. And the table cell will be called cell. And that's going to be equal to table Yes, the cell. I want to set it to 0, and then the weekday -1. So we can stick with our integer value, our zero-based index. Okay, now I need to say, all right, let's get the QText cursor. Okay, and let's get the cell cursor, set that equal to the cell, the first cursor position. I then want to get the cell cursor, and I want to insert text, and the text I want to insert is based on the Q locale, so system. So I get the system, and I want to get the day name, and I want to give it the weekday, and I want to pass it the bold format. Beautiful. All right, terrific. And so then I end my loop. So I close my loop. Now I need to insert the rows. So now I'm going to say table.insert rows. And I want to insert table rows and 1. So this way it does 1. Increments 1 at a time. Okay, great. So now I'm going to have to actually loop through this, get the days of the week, set the cursor, check to make sure the date is the current date, and then begin my formatting. And for that, I'll use a while loop. So while the date, the month, is equal to the selected month, while the date is equal to the selected date dot month, that should be M underscore, and this should be this, I believe. Okay, now I want to get the weekday. What did I do wrong here? I did something wrong. Unless, what did I do? Oh, do I not have end date? Oh. Should be date. Okay. So now that's gone away. Now I need to get the weekday. So I'm going to set the weekday, which would be an integer type, and I'm going to set that to date dot day of week. Okay. Once I have the day of week, I then want to take the table text cursor, or the text table cell, I should say, text table cell, and I want to create a new cell. I want to then capture the table cell at, and I want the table rows, and since it's zero-based index, subtract 1, and then the weekday, which is also zero-based indexed, and subtract 1. I can then say, all right, let's set the QText cursor I don't want to set that to the cell dot first cursor position. Wonderful. I then want to check the date. Now I need to check the date to see if the date is equal to QDate current date. There. I need to check this. Running out of room. So I need to check to see if the date is equal to the current date. And if it is, I'll set the cell cursor, to inserting text, and I'm going to insert a string. The string is going to take an argument. And this is how you use arguments with QStrings in Qt. So I'll set the argument, and then I'll say date.day, and I want the format. Terrific. The arguments are pretty handy. I like those. It was a little tricky to get used to at first, but once you kind of get the gist, it seems to be okay. Now, did I do that correct? Lee? I don't think so. I think I made a mistake. I need to do an else, and this should be here. This, because I want it to be highlighted. So this is the same, but this needs to be my highlighted. That's what I want. So this way now I have the two formats. Okay. Terrific. So staying in the while loop, what else do I need to do? Well, I need to add the days, and the days need to be, spelled date wrong. So the date is going to equal the date dot add days, pass it a 1. I then need to check to see if the weekday is going to equal 7. And the date month is going to equal the selected date month. So, if those two match, I'll then take the table, and I will insert rows with the table rows one. And then that will end my if. I then need to set my window title. So set the window title, and the window title is going to be a calendar for, and then I'll give the two dates. Whoops. Oh, that was correct. So in here, I want to have my two arguments. So 1, and 2. I can then proceed and say, all right, now argument. Did I do that incorrectly? I did. You know why? Because that needs to be a Q string. So let's make this a table row. And then in the table row, I should have access to the argument. Fabulous. Then I'm going to create another QLocal and the system. And I want the month name, and the month name will be selected, mSelected dot month. Open and closed. Let's do that. Don't have too many in there. There. Selected month. Is that correct? I think so. And then I should be able to do another argument. And that should be selected year. Now, this is where it's going to get tricky. So, how can I make this look better? So maybe if I break it here. Okay. There. And then I'll go ahead and break it again. Maybe here. Okay. And now I think I need another one of these. Made a mistake. Let's see. So I have one. That closed. Open and closed. Open. Those were closed. Closed. Whoops. Okay, there we go. Let's put this back like so. So it all matches up. And now I'll build it. Now let's see if it builds. It built, but here's the true question. What is going to happen now? Will it be chaos? Okay, so it's all in there, but for some reason, it's not formatting properly. So I need to debug this. So let's go ahead and debug. Okay, so what did I do wrong? Now I need to go in. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure all of my loops are ended. All right, so that loop is ended. The while loop is ended. What other loops do I have? Oh, I don't think I ended that. Wait, let's see. I think I need to end cursor dot end edit block. I think that's it. Let's see. Oh yes, nice. So there's the calendar. Look at that. Can increase. Go to any day. Increase my font size. Great. Increase the window. Oh, that's terrific. I like it. It can always be improved. But there's my calendar. Change the date. Let's go to April. Nice. That's terrific. Fantastic. And there's the calendar. Thank you for watching. Hope this was informative. Please leave some comments. If you have any projects you'd like to suggest, please do so in the comments. Thank you, and happy coding.